shell target. Okay, straight up. Okay, back.
Hello, hello. Come on, game. Up here. Beep, pop, puff. There we go. Marvellous. Don't know why it always takes a little while to appear. Anyway, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Ugh. I just sit down and I want to sneeze. Marvellous. Right. It's Cass, how you doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Right, so we should have done all of that we were doing overnight into here. Look at that, 1,014 of that nice aluminium, which is good. How are we doing on the blood water kind of thing? Okay, can't deposit any more blood, but we've got 86,000, so that means I can put another body into death still. Again, if any law enforcement are listening, it's a game. Nothing else. I still don't know why I have that door. I'm sure I'll complain if I didn't have the door, but, you know. Anyway, there we go. So that's going to top that up. Yeah. Take an hour or more. Okie dokie, right. Where are we going to? What are we doing this evening? If you haven't seen it, they did release a message from the creative director that I'll put into the chat so you can all have a little look-see at. Definitely worthwhile checking out. It's some of the changes that are going to happen, especially in terms of the deep desert and everything that's going to happen in there. Core Carnage did a little kind of review of the letter, which I think is quite balanced and everything. And it's all subject to if they kind of nail it, if they actually do it. The upshot is that they're finding a lot of people are not going into the deep desert simply because of the perceived griefing that can happen in there, and that they want people to kind of still go into the deep desert. Is that a furlong or is that a hark? It's one of the two. There he is, hovering above. Max trying to park it. There he is. Boop. Almost. Almost. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a worthwhile viewage of that there, where they're going to try and lock down basically certain elements in the or certain areas in the deep desert, which are going to be PvP only. And then there's going to be some PvE only, which I think is a good thing. It's all in the implementation anyway. Having that design or have that desire or anything can always make interesting times. Has a fell on his own as well, yeah, okay. Let's do that. Well, I don't feel like there's now 3 ornithopters out there. Well, 2, not 3. Whoop, hello. Whoop, hello. Don't wait. Yep, there is. Nearly. Kind of playing catch. Doink. Right, so there we go. See, look at that. Perfect. Hello. Oh, hello. I've fallen into the ornithopter. That's not good. I have no idea whose ornithopter I'm in, but that's making a mess of it, I think. And I daren't jump because I think going higher is probably a bad idea. But whatever it's doing it very loudly. Actually, oh, there we go. I did get out. Yeah. Yeah, don't know what happened there. Wow, that was very strange. But yeah, I'm now seemingly a very long distance away from my home base. Nice. Cool. That was expertly trolled there. There we go. Let's sit out the sun for a little while. XCAS, Sarah and New World, they created PvE and now they went there. Well, to be fair, it's kind of the opposite, really. The deep desert, I can't show you it, but it's basically around the outskirts of the Haga Basin, and you can go to it from the world map. The PvP world is actually, or the deep desert is a PvP world. But what they were finding is that people were not going in there who were playing PvE, because it was kind of, I've got to PvP, but I'm missing out on the actual funsies, which they didn't want to kind of do, because they thought it was kind of wrong. They were almost kind of excluded from that environment. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of an awkward one, really. Nice. Cool bits of stuff. Hold on. Marvellous. Yeah. I do need to kind of get out of the sun though, because I'm getting baked here. Boink. But yeah, I definitely think there's some good changes. How you doing, Ben? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you. Hope you're well. How are you? How are you? Whee. There we go. And we're back in. Nice. So yeah, there's quite a few changes that they're looking to implement. Are they going to be good? Are they going to implement them well? Who knows? But I think listening to the feedback of the players is a good thing. And I think, yeah, it should be some good changes overall on balance when you look at it. But yeah, the game is predominantly a PvE survival game in the Dune world. There's elements, which isn't the big element of PvP in certain areas. We don't have that on the private server because they're turned off. But on the official servers, you can do that. So maybe the people on the official servers are more used to that, but then the deep desert, it's always been a PvP environment. But they've realised that having that is excluding a lot of PvE players from going into that environment. So whilst the top end most gear is still going to be in the deep desert PvP areas, you're going to have PvE environments that are locked down to solely PvE, which gives you a bit of the end game environment, but you're still going to be able to get some good stuff from it. But you won't get the top end stuff. So, but that's entirely fine, isn't it? Yeah. I know there's talk about obviously changing flags. We had this discussion on our Discord a little bit earlier. If the base system is designed in a certain way, like we have with the deep desert, turning a flag on and off can be very difficult to actually enable. It's not something that's very easy to do. On paper, it sounds like, because you think you're just telling that a player is just going, you can't attack me, I can attack. The problem with flagging is that then that can be abused. Someone can accidentally put it on, someone can accidentally turn it off, and then if you don't mitigate that system, which you'd hope that if it was going to be implemented somebody would do so, is that people would just go, flagging me, going to shoot you, boom, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. So there maybe have to be a cooldown for that or something like that. But I also think there's a possibility that the end game, which is usually probably sometimes the last thing to get developed, had to be in a position where it can just be deployed. They might have had a window of opportunity to get the game out. They were going, right, we need to get out before anything big comes along. We'll get out ahead of the curve for the summertime, which they did. And there'll be pressure from the development team to do it to a certain date. There'll be pressure from probably the publishers to get it out to a certain date. So that can still change. I will always say, though, that, yeah, Warcraft did it. Whenever you do something like that, and by that I mean as in kind of, but somebody did it, doesn't mean that's easy. World of Warcraft and Activision, Blizzard are a huge behemoth of a company. I'm not saying Funcom aren't. They've got a hell of a lot of people, so they could possibly do it. I think you've just got to be very careful with a statement like that, because when you expect the same from a smaller developer as one of the behemoths of the industry, that's a very unlevel playing field. So just because one company can do it, and other people don't. We've had it with our game. People are like, oh, well, you could easily put co-op into it. So-and-so did it, and this, that, and the other. And you're like, well, okay, let's have a look at the comparison of the companies that are actually doing this. And then you realise, so they've got a bigger team than the whole of our marketing team. They've got a bigger team on their marketing team than we have on our whole team. So it's not easy to do. So there's always got to be a kind of balanced comparison. That's not to say that it shouldn't be done, because I'm certain that there's certain people that can do it. And if it was easy, yeah. The other thing is, design decisions are made very, very early in the whole development thing. When you set out for a hi Nintendo Switch, a Switch 2 questions for ES2, yeah. we're going to get a lot of that, to be fair. But we deal with it. But anyway, I kind of digress a little bit. When you kind of set something out, you can, having this vision, this idea, this design, and I'm sure Everspace 1 originally was, hopefully they were going to design what basically is Everspace 2. I'm only going to use that as a kind of analogy because that is what I know. But because of time restraints, the actual physical difficulty of creating Everspace 2, Everspace 1 turned into Everspace 1, essentially. Or Everspace 1 was not didn't become Everspace 2. So it had to be cut back, it had to be shortened, it had to be kind of limited in scope, and that's what tends to happen. So this could have happened with Funcom and all their... I think they said in the dev interview there was 200-300 devs working on it. Now you might be saying, well, they should be able to do that easily. It depends. They're using Unreal Engine 5, which is why it looks so good. How easy is it to do? I don't know. I'm not a programmer. I can't imagine it's very easy, and certainly multiplayer is difficult to do. It has a whole new layer on top of difficulty. So yeah. It's interesting. Can we actually interact with that then? Hello? That's not what I wanted to do. Did not want to do that at all. So yeah, I think that the pathway that they've chosen for this update anyway, or changes to the deep desert and everything, I think is going to make some good changes. There's people that don't like it. There's people that are absolutely throwing an absolute fit over it because, for whatever reason. I think it's a good change. Will it pan out though? That's the question. It doesn't matter what you plan. If you don't execute it, it can be a little bit problematic. And some of them have been like kids. There's been threats of review bombing and stuff like that. And I'm like, really? Just because you didn't... I don't understand why somebody having something their way, which doesn't affect how you play the game, is any reason to get arsey about. I really just... It does baffle me. It's like, and people are saying it's a PvP game. No, it's a PvE game with a PvP element. And that just does not compute with them. They seem to think like, well, no, it's this way or no way. It's PvP or not at all. I'm like, don't think so. I'm not sure about that. So, yeah, at the end of the day, if all that you care about is going into the world and being PvP, you can still do that. What the problem was is that people who were PvE rather, couldn't really go into that world because it was something they didn't enjoy. So if you are looking from the point of view of a PvP player and you think, this is a PvP game, everybody should play PvP. If you then change it so that you can still have PvP, but some people who can play PvE in that same or similar environment, what is the problem? It's almost like if somebody wants to play it as only PvE, that they think that somebody should not be able to do that in that part of the game. When we talk about that part of the game, I mean the deep desert. What difference does it make? Is it because you want an easy target? Is it because you want to just obliterate the shit out of them? Is it that you feel that there's going to be not enough people partaking in PvP? There's value in PvP and there's value in PvE. I'm not saying that one way is right and one way is wrong. I just think that you have to... I came into this game knowing that there was PvP at the end game. Does that mean that I should not play the game? But there are certain people, and I know this for a fact, that have said they're not playing the game because it's got PvP at the end and they don't want to be forced into doing that. And that's perfectly understandable. It sounds the same as my day at work with someone's baby youth crying. Well, you will be one of these police officers, won't you, Ben? You will anyway. Oh, anyway, Ben, I did build a system this week. I built my brother's system in his case, and he did have one of those Leanna Lee power supplies, the 1,000-watt variant with the L shape. It went very well. To be honest with you, touch wood, it booted first time, no problem. Set the Expo profile. Job's a good one. Didn't have a problem with it. I'm not saying that you should have problems with it. It's just that sometimes you do have problems with it, but it went perfectly fine. I was even impressed myself because I thought I'm going to be sitting here tweaking things and making sure everything's working. It just worked. It really did just work, which was suitably impressive. So, yeah, I'm going to die. People equal NPCs, kids will be kids. I'm stuck with progression as I don't wish to be. Yeah, and I think. As Furlong just put in the chat that if you don't want a PvP, you're stuck. You can't go there. 3-minute wait. Yeah, I think that's the minimum you can have in an hour or something like that. Let me just see. Yeah, ad break. I didn't actually see it there, but yeah, deal with it. Anyway, Ben, why have you got an advert? Because you're subbed, aren't you? Aren't you subbed? You probably can't hear me now because it's a fucking ad break, isn't he? You shouldn't be seeing adverts if you're a subscriber. Because Magic's a subscriber, and she's not seeing them. Oh, okay. Okay, is it run out? I see. It's because he's still got Prime Gaming next to his name, that's all. That's what I was confused with. Yeah. Excuse me. Oh, well, deal with it, bitch. But yeah, the changes, I don't see why people are getting their knickers in a twist over it. It really does baffle me. There's plenty of options there for people to play the game how they want, and improving the options for one set of player, I don't think is a problem. I mean, if they introduced a PvP area, if the whole of the deep desert was PvE, yeah? If it was fully PvE, and then they said, you know what, we're just going to cut down a quarter of it to be PvP. Bearing in mind the deep desert is fucking huge. It's something like 80 squares or something like that. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's fucking huge. If they were going to cut that down by a fifth, we'll say, you know, whatever it is, would it be a problem? I wouldn't have thought so. Now, PvP players are not as many as PvE players, because everybody that's played through this game has played PvE. Majority, because... Oh, hang on. I've got a thing. Right, I'm going to have to take a break for a little bit. One sec. I'm just going to put everything on pause. Stop it. Hang on. Yo, Chris, give me a minute. I'm streaming. Don't do anything. I'll be back in a second, everybody. And yeah, just yeah, we can hear him, but I'm not going to talk to him. So yeah, yeah, I'm just going to start straight. I'll be back in a little bit. And then
what's your priorities? I come first.
Well, I'm sure Jenny would agree with you that, but you know, I can't comment on that really. Right.
You know you love me.
Obviously.